Right, we are going to talk Alexander Isak. He's still training away from his Newcastle teammates after expressing a desire to leave St James's Park. Carve, any developments?
Well, the only developments today have been a couple of newspaper reports saying that as soon as Alexander Isak found out that he wasn't going to be invited to this family bonding day that Newcastle had at the training ground, that was the same day apparently that he moved out of his rental property in Newcastle. Now, I don't think the two events are connected at all. There have been reports that Alexander Isak moved house, didn't want to live in that rental property because it had been targeted by burglars. So I think there's always going to be stories about Alexander Isak every day. But the underlying story is that nothing much has changed. The player still wants to leave, and Newcastle United are not going to let him go unless their valuation is met. And that is a valuation that no one is willing to pay at the moment.
Moment in time, there is no bid on the table. Newcastle rejected a bid from Liverpool in the region of around £110 million. That was about 10 days ago. There's been no movement whatsoever at this moment in time. Newcastle are only going to allow him to leave if their valuation is met. We understand their valuation is around £150 million. It's unclear whether they'll be able to get that over the course of the next few days and if they can get a replacement lined up. And that is proving to be very difficult for Newcastle right now. They tried to sign Hugo Ekitike. He went to Liverpool. They tried to sign Benjamin Sesko. He went to Manchester United. There aren't many number nines that can come in and do anything near like what Alexander Isak has done in a Newcastle shirt right now. But Newcastle need to act quickly. Whether or not he can be successfully reintegrated is another question, because I think there's a lot of patching up that needs to be done. Newcastle fans and the club are very unhappy with the way that Alexander Isak has carried himself and his entourage have carried themselves over the course of the last few months. He left it quite late to say that he wanted to explore his options elsewhere. A lot of bridges are going to have to be mended if he's to be reintegrated into this Newcastle side. But he's got 3 years left in his contract. He's a Newcastle player. He's contracted to Newcastle. Newcastle expects, if it comes to beyond the transfer window and he remains a Newcastle player, that he trains with the first team and he plays for Newcastle once again.
I think I've said many times, he is contracted to us. He's our player. The club basically make the decision on his future. I don't know what that will be.
When you've got the best striker, people are going to come calling. And he's obviously been attracted by the calls that have come. And we have to understand that. As a Newcastle fan, you don't want to understand it.
And you can't say I'm never going to play for Newcastle again, because if he doesn't make that move, then he's going to want to play. Every footballer wants to play matches.
He's still one of the best strikers in the world, so I do want him here.
Alexander Isak's let a lot of people down.
And that's the route he's going down, which, you know, will be hard to accept for everyone who's, a Newcastle fan.
Everyone's got a view on Alexander Isak, but he may or may not go to Liverpool. That said, should Liverpool be targeting other areas of the pitch?
Well, they are in talks with Crystal Palace to sign the Palace captain, Marc Guehi. Now, Steve Parish, the Palace chairman, said 2 days ago that the situation regarding Guehi was very, very simple. He's only got a year left on his contract. Palace can't afford for him to leave on a free. So unless he signs a new deal, he's going to leave this summer. Now, it's very, very unlikely that he'll sign a new deal. I think Liverpool feel that he wants to move to Liverpool. They have a very, very good relationship with Steve Parish. They're doing everything by the book. That is why they're holding club-to-club talks first. Now, how much would he cost? We know last summer there was talk of him being valued at around £70 million. But now, 1 year left on his contract, I think that has dropped significantly. I think Palace probably value him at around £40 million. Liverpool probably trying to get him for around £30 or £35 million. I think it would be a very, very good move for the player himself. No disrespect to Crystal Palace, of course. He's done a fantastic job at Crystal Palace, won 2 major trophies as well. But I think when Liverpool come calling, especially the present Liverpool side, it's very, very difficult for a player to say no.
Going back to Liverpool, though, chasing Isak, as I say, should they be spending more time bringing in a centre-back rather than a striker?
I think if you ask some Liverpool fans, I was at the game on Sunday, there is a feeling that they really need some more strength and depth in that centre-back area. If you look at their bench on Sunday, there weren't any centre-backs on the bench, and Arne Slot was asked about signing a defender on Friday ahead of the game, and He said that the likes of Endo and Andy Robertson could fit in there if required. They've sold Jarrod Quansah to Bayer Leverkusen, a really good fee they got for Jarrod Quansah. But it means that right now they've got the two centre-backs, Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate. Konate's contract expires at the end of this season, and they have a lack of options there right now. Joe Gomez seems to be injured a lot at the moment. It's a real concern for Joe Gomez. So you can understand why they need to sign a centre-back. They also understand why they need to sign an attacking player as well, because, yes, they've been really aggressive in terms of what they've gone after in this transfer window. But actually, they're one short on where they were last season with the players they brought in, the players have departed. So you can understand why. But I think the centre-back is a priority, because if they don't sign an attacking player, they still have the likes of Enga Moa, the 16-year-old on the left-hand side, Harvey Elliott, Ben Doak as well, and they've got options there if required. I think the centre-back area is one they really need to address. If anything happens to Virgil van Dijk or Konate, I think they're in real trouble.
Liverpool Football Club are currently in final negotiations with Crystal Palace over the potential signing of central defender Marc Guehi in what is shaping up to be one of the most significant defensive moves of the summer transfer window. Discussions have been ongoing for several weeks, but talks are now understood to be at an advanced stage, with personal terms between the player and Liverpool reportedly agreed. Guehi, 24, has emerged as one of the Premier League's most consistent and intelligent centre-backs over the past 2 seasons, impressing with his composure on the ball, aerial ability and leadership qualities. He captained Palace on multiple occasions and earned the trust of England manager Gareth Southgate, becoming a regular call-up for the national team. Liverpool's recruitment team, led by new sporting director Richard Hughes, identified Guehi as a top target early in the window, viewing him as an ideal partner or alternative to Ibrahima Konate and Virgil van Dijk. With Joel Matip having left the club this summer and Joe Gomez continuing to feature more as a fullback, there is a clear need for a reliable, starting quality central defender. The main point of contention remains the transfer fee, with Crystal Palace valuing their defender at approximately £45 million, while Liverpool are hoping to agree a lower figure closer to £35 to £40 million, citing the player's contract length and the desire not to overpay in a tight market. Palace, for their part, are not desperate to sell, but are reportedly willing to allow Guehi to leave should their asking price be met, especially with the player expressing a willingness to take the next step in his career and challenge for trophies at a club competing in Europe. While the focus has been on securing Guehi's services as a near-finished product ready to contribute immediately to the first team, Liverpool are also pushing ahead with negotiations for another central defender. Giovanni Leone, the highly rated 18-year-old currently playing for Parma in Serie A. Though still a teenager, Leone has quickly made a name for himself in Italy as one of the most technically gifted young defenders in the league. Standing at 6 feet 2 inches, he combines physical presence with refined passing ability and positional awareness well beyond his years. Liverpool have been tracking him since his days at Padova before his move to Parma, and the club's scouting department has closely followed his development over the past year. While Leone would not be expected to start games regularly upon arrival, the club sees him as a long-term investment, a player who could grow into a first-team role over the next few seasons, possibly following a path similar to that of Jarrod Quansah, who made his senior breakthrough last season. According to several Italian and English sources, Liverpool have opened formal talks with Leone's camp and are believed to have held initial discussions with Parma regarding a potential fee. Although not as far along as the Guehi deal, the talks are said to be progressing positively. Leone has drawn interest from clubs such as Inter Milan, Juventus, and RB Leipzig, but Liverpool are confident that their development plan and reputation for nurturing young talent, particularly under the club's evolving post-Klopp project, could persuade him to make the move to Anfield.